If your diesel truck is failing its emissions test or showing a random check engine light that comes and goes, your exhaust system might be working against you. The trouble code P2219 refers to a nitrogen oxide sensor heater control circuit low for bank 2. These nitrogen oxide sensors are critical for keeping diesel engines clean, as they monitor the levels of pollutants coming out of your tailpipe after the combustion process. Because the environment inside your exhaust is incredibly harsh, these sensors are made from tough ceramic and zirconia materials. To work correctly, the sensor has to be extremely hot, so it uses an internal heater to get up to operating temperature quickly rather than waiting for the engine heat to do all the work. When the engine control module detects a voltage that is lower than expected in this heater circuit on bank 2, it triggers the light and stores this code. For those of you wondering, bank 2 is always the side of the engine that does not contain cylinder number 1. So make sure you are looking at the correct part of the exhaust before you start pulling things apart. Symptoms usually include a failed smog check or an intermittent check engine light, but you might not notice any big changes in how the truck actually drives. The most common causes are a defective nitrogen oxide sensor, a failed internal heater, or even water getting into the electrical connectors. Since these sensors are exposed to road salt and extreme temperature swings, the wiring harnesses often melt or develop high resistance. Your first step should be to check the technical service bulletins for your truck to see if there is a known fix. Most of these sensors are fairly easy to reach, but they can be incredibly stubborn to unscrew because of the rust and heat cycles. Always use some good penetrant oil and maybe a little heat to avoid stripping the threads in the exhaust pipe. Check the wiring harness for any melted sections and make sure the connector tabs are not broken. If the wiring is good, you should inspect the exhaust for excessive soot buildup, which can happen if you have an aftermarket performance programmer that is making the engine run too rich. If cleaning the sensor does not work, the internal heater is likely dead and you'll need a new sensor unit. If you have exhausted all these options and the code stays, you might even have water damage inside your engine control module, which is a much bigger job that usually requires a trip to the dealership for professional programming. Keeping your emission system in check is the best way to avoid heavy fines and keep the air we breathe clean.